Let me tell you something nobody in your life is brave enough to say to your face. Being nice is costing you everything. Your energy, your respect, your future. And the worst part, you were conditioned this way, taught to smile while you're bleeding. Trained to say yes when every instinct screams no. Programmed to shrink yourself so others could feel comfortable in your presence. They called it kindness. They called it virtue. Machiavelli called it weakness. And the world called it an opportunity, because here is the brutal, unfiltered truth that history has proven across every empire, every boardroom, and every battlefield. The coldest men win and the nicest men suffer. Not because life is unfair, but because life is ruthlessly honest. It shows you exactly what it rewards, and it does not reward warmth. It does not reward the man who gives endlessly and receives nothing. It rewards control. It rewards composure. It rewards the man who has mastered the most dangerous weapon ever forged, himself. So if you're tired of being overlooked, used, and taken for granted, drop cold and calculated in the comments. Your transformation begins right now. Number 2, the nice guy trap. Understand this. The world did not fail you. You failed yourself the moment you believed that being agreeable would make people respect you, that being available would make people value you, that being generous would make people loyal to you. It doesn't work that way. It has never worked that way. And deep down, somewhere beneath all the disappointment and confusion, you already know this. You've seen it play out in your own life. You gave everything to people who gave you nothing. You bent over backwards for people who never once looked back. You were the dependable one, the understanding one, the one who always showed up. And what did it get you? A reputation for being easy to use. Because here is what nobody tells you about niceness. It doesn't signal virtue to the world. It signals fear. It tells people that you are afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid of being disliked. And people, consciously or not, will exploit that fear without a single moment of hesitation. Machiavelli understood human nature at its most raw and unfiltered level. He didn't see people as they wished they were. He saw them as they actually are. Self-interested, opportunistic, and responsive to power above all else. He wrote that a man who wants to act virtuously in every situation will come to ruin among so many who are not virtuous. Read that again. Let it sink into your bones. The system was never designed to reward the nice guy. It was designed to extract from him. Every time you people pleased, you handed someone a blueprint of your weaknesses. Every time you over-explained yourself, you exposed your insecurities. Every time you chased approval, you auctioned off your dignity for a price nobody ever paid. That ends today. Drop "I choose power" in the comments and let the old version of you die right there. Number 3, the cold man's advantage. Now, let's talk about the man on the other side of the equation. The one you've watched your entire life and never quite understood. The one who doesn't over-explain, doesn't over-apologize, doesn't chase, beg, or perform for anyone's approval. The man who walks into a room and shifts its energy without saying a single word. You've seen him. You've felt his presence. And if you're honest with yourself, some part of you has always been quietly studying him, trying to decode what he carries that you don't. Let me decode it for you right now. That man is not cold because he is broken. He is not distant because he is damaged. He is that way because he made a conscious, deliberate, surgical decision to stop leaking his energy into people and situations that were never worthy of it. He took everything the world tried to weaponize against him. His emotions, his empathy, his need for validation, and he buried it so deep that nobody can reach it, touch it, or use it against him. That is not cruelty. That is architecture, the architecture of an untouchable man. Machiavelli was clear. A ruler who relies on the goodwill of others builds on sand. But a ruler who relies on his own strength, his own strategy, his own calculated silence builds on stone. The cold man understands something the nice man refuses to accept. That emotions displayed in public are liabilities, not virtues. Every time you show desperation, you hand your enemy a weapon. Every time you react impulsively, you reveal your pressure points. Every time you need someone's validation to feel whole, you make yourself a hostage to their opinion. The cold man needs nothing from you. And that needlessness is the single most powerful signal a human being can broadcast. It communicates value. It commands respect. It creates an invisible force field that makes people think twice before they test you, doubt you, or attempt to diminish you. This is not about becoming heartless. This is about becoming untouchable. There is a profound and critical difference between those two things, and once you understand it, you will never operate the same way again. The cold man doesn't hate people. He simply refuses to need them. And in a world that runs on neediness, that refusal alone makes him the most powerful person in every room he enters. Number 4, silence as a weapon. Now I need you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. Because this single concept, if you truly internalize it, will change the way you move through the world forever. Most men are losing power every single day. And they don't even realize it. Not because they're weak, not because they're unintelligent, but because they talk too much. They explain too much. They justify too much. They fill every silence with words. Every uncomfortable moment with nervous chatter. Every confrontation with lengthy defenses that nobody asked for and nobody respects. And every single word they speak beyond what is necessary is another brick removed from the wall of their power. Machiavelli understood this with frightening clarity. He knew that the man who controls information controls the dynamic. The man who speaks only when necessary creates an aura of mystery that the human mind cannot resist trying to decode. People are psychologically compelled to fill in the blanks, and when you give them nothing to work with, they will construct an image of you that is almost always more formidable than reality. That is not manipulation. That is mastery. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. When someone disrespects you and you respond with cold, composed silence instead of a defensive outburst, you have just shifted all the psychological weight of that moment onto them. Now they are uncomfortable. Now they are second-guessing themselves. Now they are wondering what you know that they don't. Your silence became the most devastating moves ahead while everyone else is reacting emotionally to what is directly in front of them. The cold man speaks with intention. Every word he releases is deliberate, measured, and placed with surgical precision. He understands that words are currency, and like all currency, they lose value the moment you spend them recklessly. Guard your words the way you guard your ambitions. Speak less, mean more. Let your silence make people nervous, make people curious, make people lean in just to understand what is happening behind those calm, unreadable eyes. Because the man who cannot be read cannot be defeated. Drop silence is my power in the comments right now. Claim it, own it, become it. Number 5, emotional detachment. The ultimate superpower. Here is where most men fail. Not in strategy, not in intelligence, not even in ambition. They fail in emotion. They let feeling override thinking at the exact moment when clear, cold, calculated thinking matters most. And that single flaw, that one crack in the armor, becomes the fault line through which everything they've built eventually collapses. Let me be direct with you. Emotion is not your enemy. Feeling is not weakness. But uncontrolled emotion displayed at the wrong moment to the wrong person in the wrong environment is the fastest way to hand your power to someone who will use it against you without mercy and without hesitation. The man who cries for sympathy in a boardroom loses the deal. The man who explodes in anger during a negotiation reveals exactly where his boundaries are. The man who chases a woman with desperation telegraphs that he has nothing better to offer. In every scenario, uncontrolled emotion is a confession. It tells the world exactly where you are vulnerable, exactly where you can be pressured, and exactly how to bring you to your knees without ever laying a hand on you. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man must behave in times of fortune in such a way that, when she changes, he will be prepared to resist her. That is emotional detachment in its purest philosophical form. It is not about feeling nothing. It is about being so deeply rooted in your own foundation that no external storm, no betrayal, no rejection, no failure, no humiliation has the power to uproot you. The Stoics called it the immovable mind. Dark psychology calls it emotional insulation. And the most dangerous, most respected, most untouchable men in history have simply called it discipline. Think about the men who have shaped history, moved markets, commanded armies, and built empires from nothing. Not one of them was ruled by his emotions. Every single one of them had developed the capacity to feel the storm without becoming the storm, to absorb the blow without crumbling, to look at chaos directly in the eyes and respond not with panic, not with rage, not with desperation, but with the terrifying calm of a man who has already decided how this ends. That calm is not natural. It is forged. It is built through deliberate, relentless, uncomfortable practice. It is built by sitting with discomfort instead of running from it, by processing pain privately instead of performing it publicly, by choosing response over reaction every single time until response becomes instinct and instinct becomes identity. And when that transformation is complete, When you have truly mastered the architecture of your own emotional world, something extraordinary happens. People stop testing you because they sense there is nothing to provoke. Adversaries stop targeting you because they know you will not break under pressure. Opportunities begin gravitating toward you because power is magnetic and emotional mastery is the purest expression of power that exists. You become the eye of every storm you enter, unshakable, unreadable, untouchable. The man who controls himself controls everything around him. And the man who cannot control himself, regardless of his talent, his resources, or his ambition, will always be at the mercy of whoever is willing to push the right button at the right time. Don't be that man. Be the man who has no buttons left to push. Drop "I am unshakable" in the comments. Say it like you mean it because that is exactly what you are becoming. Number 6, the strategy of controlled generosity. Now, let me dismantle one of the most dangerous misconceptions that has been quietly sabotaging your life, your relationships, and your position in every social hierarchy you have ever inhabited. The misconception that giving more will make people value you more, that sacrificing more will make people respect you more, that being endlessly available, endlessly accommodating, endlessly generous will eventually be recognized, rewarded, and reciprocated by the people around you. Let me be brutally honest with you. It will not. Not because all people are evil, not because gratitude is dead, but because uncontrolled, indiscriminate generosity communicates one thing above everything else. That you have no standards for how your resources, your time, and your energy are distributed. And anything distributed without standards is perceived consciously or unconsciously as having no real value. Think about water. Water is essential to human survival. Nothing lives without it. And yet, because it flows freely, because it is seemingly everywhere, because it requires no effort to access, nobody treasures it the way they treasure gold. You have been operating like water your entire life, flowing freely toward anyone who held out their hands, nourishing people who never once stopped to appreciate what they were receiving, and wondering why nobody treated you like gold. Machiavelli addressed this with the precision of a surgeon and the coldness of a general. He distinguished between the prince who is considered generous and the prince who is considered miserly. And his conclusion was counterintuitive, uncomfortable, and absolutely correct. The prince who gives everything away will eventually exhaust his resources, be forced to burden his people, and be hated for it. But the prince who is selective, disciplined, and strategic with his generosity will be seen as capable in control and worthy of loyalty. Because scarcity creates value always in economics, in relationships, in power dynamics, and in the way the world perceives you. The moment you become selective, the moment you make people earn your time, earn your attention, earn your energy, everything shifts. You are no longer the man people take from. You become the man people work to impress. And that shift in dynamic is not arrogance. It is not coldness for the sake of coldness. It is the intelligent strategic application of one of the oldest and most universal laws of human psychology. We desire most what we cannot easily have. So understand this clearly. The cold man is not the man who never gives. The cold man is the man who gives deliberately. He helps people who have demonstrated loyalty. He invests in relationships that generate return, not financial return necessarily, but growth, respect, and genuine reciprocity. He gives his best energy to his highest priorities and guards everything else with the quiet ferocity of a man who knows exactly what his time and presence are worth. He does not attend every argument he is invited to. He does not respond to every provocation that is thrown at him. He does not explain himself to people who have already decided what they think of him. He moves with economy, doing more with less, saying more with silence, and commanding more respect by simply refusing to chase what should be coming to him naturally. And here is the deepest layer of this concept that most people never reach. When you stop giving yourself away freely, you force the people around you into a moment of reckoning. They must now ask themselves what they have actually been bringing to the relationship. They must now evaluate whether they have been a contributor or a consumer. And many of them, when confronted with that honest reflection, will either rise to meet your standard or reveal themselves for exactly what they always were. Both outcomes serve you. The ones who rise become genuine allies. The ones who leave remove themselves as liabilities. Either way, you win. Either way, your circle gets smaller and more powerful. Either way, you move forward cleaner, lighter, and sharper than before. Control your generosity the way a chess grandmaster controls his pieces. Never sacrifice a valuable asset without a strategic reason. Never give without understanding what the exchange truly costs you. And never mistake someone's hunger for your resources as evidence of their loyalty to your vision. Give less, mean more, and watch how quickly the world recalibrates its entire relationship with you. Number 7, power dynamics. How to read every room. If you want to become truly untouchable, you must develop one of the rarest and most dangerous abilities a man can possess. The ability to walk into any environment, any relationship, any conversation, and within moments understand exactly who holds the power, who wants it, who is pretending they don't. And where you stand in that invisible hierarchy that nobody talks about, but everybody feels. Because here is the reality that most people spend their entire lives refusing to acknowledge. Every single human interaction is a power dynamic. Every conversation, every meeting, every relationship, every negotiation, every silence, every glance across a room. Beneath the surface of every social exchange, there is a current running. And that current determines who leads and who follows, who is respected, and who is tolerated, who sets the terms and who accepts them. The naive man walks through life completely blind to this current. He takes conversations at face value. He believes people mean what they say and say what they mean. He trusts body language that has been carefully constructed to mislead him and interprets kindness that has been strategically deployed to soften him. And because he cannot read the room reads him and uses what it finds. The Machiavellian man operates entirely differently. He enters every environment as an observer first and a participant second. Before he speaks, he watches. Before he moves, he maps. He studies who commands attention without demanding it. He notices who others look to when uncertainty enters the room. He identifies who laughs too loudly, who agrees too quickly, who deflects too smoothly. Because every behavioral pattern is a data point, and every data point tells a story about where a person truly sits in the hierarchy versus where they want you to believe they sit. Machiavelli warned that men deceive themselves so readily when it comes to flattery that it is difficult to defend against this plague. Read that with your full attention. The people smiling at you the hardest are often the ones studying you the most carefully. The ones agreeing with everything you say are often the ones who respect you the least. The ones performing loyalty the loudest are often the ones who will pivot the fastest when the wind changes direction. You must learn to see through performance and into intention. And you develop that ability not through cynicism, but through disciplined, patient, emotionless observation. Watch how people behave when they think nobody important is watching. Watch how they treat individuals they perceive as beneath them. Because that is where character lives, not in how they perform for power, but in how they behave in its absence. Watch who consistently redirects conversations back to themselves. Watch who subtly undermines others while maintaining a surface of warmth and camaraderie. Watch who positions themselves physically and verbally at the center of every dynamic, not through talent, but through calculated social maneuvering. These are the players, and in every room there are players and there are pieces. Your entire mission is to ensure you are never the piece. Now understand how to use this knowledge once you have gathered it. You do not expose what you see. You do not confront every manipulator you identify or announce every power play you detect. That would be amateur, reactive, and ultimately self-defeating. Instead, you file it. You catalog it. You let people believe their strategies are invisible, while you are already 3 moves ahead of where they think the game is being played. You adjust your positioning quietly. You align yourself with genuine sources of influence and distance yourself from those who drain, diminish, or destabilize. You make moves that look effortless precisely because they have been calculated in private, rehearsed in silence, and executed with the casual confidence of a man who already knows the outcome before the game begins. You speak to each person in the language they respond to most, not to manipulate them for destruction, but to navigate every dynamic with maximum efficiency and minimum friction. Because the smartest man in any room is rarely the loudest. He is the one who said the least, observed the most, and left having taken exactly what he came for while giving away nothing he didn't intend to. Power is not taken in this world. It is recognized, cultivated, and claimed by the men who are disciplined enough to study the battlefield before they ever set foot on it. Become that man. Develop those eyes, build that mind, and you will never again walk into a room as anything less than the most dangerous, most prepared, and most strategically aware presence in it. Drop, I read every room in the comments right now because that is no longer just an aspiration. It is becoming your reality. Number 8, loyalty, betrayal, and the cold truth about people. Let me take you somewhere uncomfortable right now. Somewhere most men avoid because the truth that lives there is too painful to sit with for very long. Let me take you into the raw, unfiltered reality of human loyalty. What it actually is, what it actually isn't, and why your misunderstanding of it has been one of the most expensive mistakes of your entire life. Because here is what you were taught. Loyalty is a virtue. Loyalty is sacred. Loyalty means that the people you invest in, protect, support, and show up for will, when the moment comes, show up for you. You were taught that relationships built on genuine care are relationships built to last. That the bonds you forge through sacrifice and consistency are bonds that cannot be broken. And so you gave trust, you gave time, you gave opportunity, you gave the kind of rare unconditional loyalty that most people spend their entire lives searching for. And then one day, without warning, without justification, without even the basic dignity of an honest conversation, someone you would have burned the world for chose their own comfort over your connection. And everything you believed about loyalty cracked straight down the middle. That moment didn't just hurt you, it confused you because you played by the rules you were given, and the rules failed you. So let me give you the real rules, the ones Machiavelli understood centuries ago. And that history has validated without a single exception. Human beings are not loyal to people. They are loyal to their own interests, their own safety, their own advancement, and their own survival. And the moment your presence no longer serves those interests, the moment standing beside you costs more than it returns, the loyalty evaporates. Not with drama, not with confrontation. Quietly, cleanly, like it was never there at all. This is not cynicism. This is not a call to distrust every human being you encounter or to build walls so high that nothing real can ever reach you. This is a call to accuracy, to see people as they are rather than as you need them to be. Because the man who understands this truth does not become bitter. He becomes strategic. He stops distributing his deepest trust like it is a renewable resource and starts treating it like the finite, precious, irreplaceable commodity that it actually is. Machiavelli was precise on this point. A prince must understand that men will always betray you when it serves them, and the wise ruler plans for this reality rather than being destroyed by it. He doesn't build his empire on the assumed loyalty of others. He builds it on systems, on leverage, on the kind of self-sufficiency that makes betrayal painful for the betrayer rather than catastrophic for him. Because here is what separates the man who survives betrayal from the man who is destroyed by it. Preparation and emotional architecture. The man who has built his identity, his confidence, and his momentum entirely on the foundation of other people's loyalty has constructed a magnificent structure on the most unstable ground imaginable. One defection and the entire edifice trembles. But the man who has invested that same energy into himself, into his skills, his discipline, his vision, his independence, that man can absorb betrayal like a body blow and keep moving forward, because his foundation was never dependent on anyone else's choices. This does not mean you close your heart entirely. It means you open it selectively, slowly, and only to those who have demonstrated through sustained action over meaningful time that they are worthy of what you carry. Words are cheap. Declarations of loyalty cost nothing. Watch behavior under pressure. Watch how people act when helping you requires something real from them. Watch who stays when staying is inconvenient. Those are your people. Everyone else is circumstantial. Grieve what needs to be grieved. Extract the lesson with surgical precision, and move forward without the weight of misplaced loyalty dragging you back, toward a version of yourself that the world already taught you cannot afford to be. The coldest men are not the ones who were never hurt. They are the ones who were hurt deeply, understood exactly why it happened, and used that understanding to build something the next betrayal could never touch. Drop built to withstand in the comments, because that is precisely what you are becoming. A man built so solidly from the inside that nothing and nobody on the outside can ever truly break what you have constructed within yourself. Number 9, the transformation becoming the coldest version of yourself. Everything I have laid before you in this video has been building to this single defining moment. The moment where philosophy stops being something you consume and starts being something you embody. The moment where understanding transforms into identity, because knowledge without application is nothing more than sophisticated entertainment. And you did not come to this channel to be entertained. You came here to be transformed. So let me tell you exactly what that transformation looks like, feels like, and demands from you. It is not going to be comfortable. It is not going to be celebrated by the people around you. At least not initially. In fact, the moment you begin to change, the moment you start holding your boundaries with quiet conviction, speaking less and meaning more, withdrawing your energy from dynamics that no longer serve you. People will resist it. They will call you cold. They will call you arrogant. They will say you have changed as if that is an accusation rather than the highest possible confirmation that what you are doing is working. Let them talk. Their discomfort is your compass. Because the people who benefited most from your old self, your overgiving, your over-explaining, your desperate need for approval, those are precisely the people who will be most disturbed by your new one. And their disturbance tells you everything you need to know about what your old self was actually worth to them. The transformation begins in private long before it manifests in public. It begins in the hours nobody sees. The moments when you choose discipline over comfort, silence over reaction, strategy over impulse. It begins when you stop negotiating with your own weakness and start building the kind of internal structure that makes you genuinely dangerous to every limitation that has ever defined you. Machiavelli understood that the prince who wishes to maintain his position must know how to do wrong when necessary. Not to cause harm, but to refuse being harmed. To stop absorbing the costs of other people's chaos. To stop volunteering yourself as the solution to problems that were never yours to solve. That is the coldest, most liberating realization a man can arrive at. That he is not obligated to carry what was never placed on his shoulders by anyone worthy of placing it there. You must audit your life with ruthless honesty. Identify every relationship, every habit, every environment, and every internal narrative that is keeping you anchored to a lesser version of yourself. Then eliminate, distance, or transform each one with the cold precision of a surgeon who feels nothing for the diseased tissue he removes, because his only loyalty is to the health of the whole. Rebuild yourself from the foundation upward. Invest in your mind, your body, your skills, and your vision with the kind of obsessive, unrelenting consistency that makes mediocrity physically impossible. Become so focused, so disciplined, and so strategically self-aware that the man you were 12 months ago would not recognize the man you are becoming today. That is the goal, that is the standard, nothing less. Number 10, the final word: choose your nature, choose your fate. This is where it ends and this is where you begin. Everything you have heard in this video is useless unless you make a decision right now. A cold, clear, unambiguous decision about the kind of man you are going to be from this moment forward. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are perfect. Now, the world will never stop testing you. People will never stop trying to use you, diminish you, and extract from you everything you are willing to give away for free. That will never change. What can change? What must change is you. Your standards, your silence, your strategy, your unshakable refusal to be anyone's option, anyone's backup plan, anyone's emotional landfill. Machiavelli gave the world a mirror and most men looked away because the reflection was too honest. Don't look away, stare into it. Use it, become the man staring back. The coldest men win. The nicest men suffer. You have heard the truth. Now choose. Drop "I choose cold" in the comments right now and seal that decision in stone. If this video cut deep, hit that like button, subscribe to Machiavellian Mind, and turn on notifications because what's coming next will sharpen you even further. Your evolution doesn't stop here. It starts here.